people don't see, if they don't have the vision, they automatically look at it as like you're doing things wrong. It's a bad thing. You have to do it this way. And it's like what um Eric Thomas said, like, are you recording or
Yes.
oh, okay. It's kind of like what Eric Thomas said. It's like he um crap, when I said that I kind of like lost my my train of thought. Um what was he saying? Like, oh yeah, he said like a millionaire's mindset, and his mom or somebody was like, you shouldn't do it this way. You shouldn't do that, like how you're doing things. You should like, does YouTube have an insurance 401k? Like, does it do all this? Like, you have to be in the workforce. You have to be in a plant working your tail off all the time. And he's like, Ma, you're not a millionaire, so I can't come to you about how millionaires should do their stuff. He goes to millionaires to find out how millionaires work. It's like going to a rock and telling it, like, how does, you know how to be like a I don't know, like a stick or something. I don't know. It's a wild analogy, but like, what is it that you're gonna do? If you want to do something, you have to go to the people that's already done it, and it's like the people that don't do it, and they're in the workforce, and they're just like living from paycheck to paycheck. That's all they know. And it's not saying that that's a bad life, or that's a bad way of making money or doing things. It's like, if you want to be a millionaire, you have to go to people that's already done it and have the experience. Be like, you have to do this and this. And when people are so used to something and they see things a certain way, not saying that their ways are bad or whatever they're doing is wrong, but it's like, if you're wanting to do something but they haven't done that and they haven't had the experience in it, they shouldn't determine how you should do things. Like my grandmother, when she called me, like, she doesn't build like what we do. She's not doing what we're doing, and it's like the reason why we're doing what we're doing and not going out and spending every paycheck on like whatever we want to spend. And obviously, yeah, Christmas is very important, like being with family and stuff. And it's not all about the gifts. It's not all about like, let's all get together and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars and stuff. We don't have the privileges of doing that. So it's like, it's more or less like when someone gets offended with stuff like that, you should be able to just be happy and be like, oh, well, if I'm going after something, then I'm wanting to just save a little bit and not get out as much because I'm focused on something, like, and then they bark at you like, you have to do this. You never come by and see me. You never do this, and this. And it's like, yeah, I get, like, family is very important. You never know how long people's going to be there. And it's like what she was saying, like, when, my grandfather passed this year, and we don't know how long people, like, we have, like, together, with people. And family is always a very important thing. Like, you should always spend time with them and stuff. And that's why, like, that's why I'm not saying no to, like, Christmas. Like, if I was so caught up in my own self, I'd be like, no, I'm just gonna stay here and work all the time and not see nobody, even during Christmas. Like, I'm taking the time over the weekend when I could be doing other things. I could be like, oh man, I could be doing this and this. But no, I'm going and seeing family because that's important. And on the weekends, it's like, I will make time to see family and friends and stuff like that and get out, and everything. But it's like, if they don't do what we're doing and they don't see kind of why we do what we do, and they question stuff like that, like, what is it that they have to determine that, like, they don't do what we do. So whenever I'm like, I have to do this, that should be automatically like, when people try to talk you down and stuff, you know, do what
Yeah.
you want to, you know?
Yeah, it kind of goes back to you pay attention to what you want to do. Don't let others dictate what you're gonna do.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely.
Like how you were talking about how you want to go up to a rock to see what a rock does, or go up to a millionaire to figure out what a millionaire does. A lot of those
Yeah,
times, so also another thing with that is you can't just go up to a millionaire, ask them what they do to be able to do it. A lot of times you have to figure that out on your own. It
yeah,
takes time, and that time
yeah.
is
It's not
what
like,
makes it you.
You're not gonna be like a millionaire overnight, unless if someone comes up to you and says, "Here, I'm gonna give you $1 million." I mean, that's like, hey, you won the lottery. Like that's fantastic. A lot of people when they win the lottery, they become broke again. It's crazy because like they don't know how to save money. They don't know how to do that because they haven't been through that. They haven't been through the experiences of like how to do that. A lot of that is on your own. Yeah, you could go and get advice all day long. If you go up to a millionaire and be like, "How could I be that like a millionaire?" They can give you tips all day and like all day and all night. But it comes down to what you're gonna do about it.
Not just
And
the fact that
yeah,
them giving you tips, it's also how you perceive of getting that advice done,
yeah, oh
and
yeah, most definitely.
how you can make that advice work in your way and even make it better.
Yeah, a lot of people could be like, "Oh, I'll do stock trades and stuff." Maybe that's not your precision of what you need to do. Maybe that works for some people and not for everybody. And it's like you have to find what you do. Like what is it that you're pursuing that's gonna become that's successful. And that kind of goes back to like Jack and them. They Jack didn't start off the his whole career of like, oh, I'm gonna make a coffee shop business. I'm gonna or just a coffee business. I'm not gonna go into this thing of a new clothing design. He did what he did because he loved what he did, and that's why I look at him as like a really big high influence and stuff, is because he enjoyed what he did, and it wasn't like even a big thing. Like you can go to YouTube now and go to like how to do this, this, and this. You know, he just did it because he loved it. It all comes down to what you love to do, and like when he started that, like I'm sure he didn't even think until maybe a couple years ago that the stuff that he's doing now. When he was already big. It's like whenever you start doing stuff that you want to do, a lot of it you build it up with how you did it, how you envision it. No one came to Jack and says you have to do this, this, and this to be able to make it to where you get like massive success. He had to figure it out on his own.
Yeah, it's kind
You
of
know.
like with me. I do my
Yeah.
content creation, I do my streaming, and I do my stuff. I failed a
Yeah.
couple of times on it, but then I've got to a point now where it's like it's starting to go up. It's starting to raise a little bit, little by little. But
It's all
it's
that
some.
matters, man.
But I've also put my work into doing that. I've constantly
Hmm.
been streaming at least once to twice a week. I try to make
Yeah.
videos. I try to keep my community posted up. I try to let people know, hey, I'm doing this, or something's that come up, or I'm something, something's.
Hmm.
That is always I'm trying to make myself better. I'm trying to get to where point where I can be able to provide for myself and others.
Hmm.
And it's yes, it's hard. But at the same time,
Yeah.
you have to get through those hard times. Like what I'm doing right now is hard. You have to get through it in order to get
Yeah.
to where you want to go.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Like that's when I started my community, my channel, my stream and stuff, I didn't even think about like the stuff where I'm at now with my things. And not even that, but like even in the business, I didn't go into making content knowing that one day I'm going to be a game developer. One day I was like, I think it'd be sweet, like when I was like in high school, I was like, it'd be super cool to be able to be a game designer because that's something I love. It's one of the passions and everything. And YouTube and Twitch and all that is more of like a hobby kind of spot for me right now. Like who knows what it could be years down the road, who knows what the business could be down the road. It's like if you base off of everything that's happening right now and how you're doing things, like obviously you want to grow, but if you're like maybe in a spot where it's like, oh well, I'm not getting any progression, I'm putting in all this stuff and I'm not getting anything from it, that doesn't mean like it's going to be like that all the time. Yeah, you may have a swift change to something else. You may have, to try different things, come back to it and try it again. But you don't know how it's going to be down the road whenever you just keep trying and trying. And like that's the journey in it, like the progression and like whenever you fail through stuff, I feel like me as a faith believer, I believe that God tests us, like how bad we want something, and He puts us through the trials and tribulations, and and I know that maybe not a lot of people are big faith believers. It all comes down to whatever you want to believe in, whatever you want to do. But for me, it's like, um, whenever I'm going through something and it's like say I pray for something and I'm like, oh, I want to be able to do this and have success in this. I don't believe that it's instant success. It's something that you get the opportunity to be able to be successful. And a lot of it is like you have, like how I believe is like you ask for something. Like if I'm asking to be successful, if I'm asking to try new things and to learn things, it's not that I'm going to instantly know what to do and how to do it. It's going to be opportunities will come, and it may be a slow process, but it's something that's like bound to happen if you just keep going.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the sayings I enjoy doing is saying, if you can't be yourself, then who are you?
Yeah, most definitely.
One my favorite saying is I love using it because
Mhm.
it means so much.
Yeah.
Hell, here's something that you probably didn't know. You're talking about failing and stuff like that. I fail
Hmm.
every single day.
Mm.
It's something.
Yeah.
It's the truth. I fail every single day. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. It could be at work, could be at home, could be just me being me, could be streaming or something. I am always failing every single day, but I learn from my fails.
Yeah. Like a kid trying to like walk, like if that kid falls down, they're not always going to be like, oh, I'm not going to get up no more, I'm just going to be here for the rest of my life. It's even though even the brain of like a small child, and it may seem kind of very daunting or whatever, like, or crazy to think about, like even now, it's the same stuff. We fall down, and even though now we're like, oh man, I want to be able to have all this stuff and I want to be able to to do this and have this happen to me, and you fall down and it's like, oh well, I might as well just give up, because it's not going anywhere. As a kid, nobody goes to a kid and says you have to keep walking, or even if you fall, like you have to do this, you have to take that step and do this one. They have to do it themselves, and they figure it out. They're gonna fall. They're gonna fall over, but they're not gonna be like, oh well, this is my destiny. So it's something that like you have to just continue to do. Trust the process. It may take time. It may take years before you fully progress into it, and stuff like that. Like not a small child is gonna be like a star athlete or anything. Like you have to train for it. You have to go for it, and it's like it comes down to pretty much anything. Like I know it's a kind of a wild observation, but like I look at it as anything you do. If you want to try something, you're gonna have those falls, and it's gonna test you to say, well, how many times more can I do this? Like they were saying with Michael Jordan, being that he missed like 700 shots and only made 146, and they count the 146. Like they never talk about the, like if you have like a baseball person or something and they get struck out and everything, they never talk about the stuff that they missed. They always talk about the highlights, the good things that happened. And it's like if you just keep going, and you keep trying, you never know if you're gonna be that next thing. Like if you have just one more step could take you and change it, like change everything around.
Yeah, like for example, like trying to learn something new. For me, growing up, my father loved
Hmm.
motorcycles. He enjoyed it. He absolutely enjoyed it. I loved it with
Yeah.
him till I got that time of my age where it's like, okay, I need to start learning to do this myself. That way, I can actually
Yeah.
ride with it. And
Yeah.
yes, when I first started off, I started on a little 883 Sportster,
Right
first
on.
motorcycle on the street.
Yeah.
But my dad was there to help me learn it. Yes, I dropped the bike multiple times, but I still picked it back up and I still learned how to ride it
Yeah.
until I got to the point where I could be able to do it by myself, to where I can actually ride these bigger bikes like his I have now. Now,
Mm.
only bike I ride is his bike.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where got to that point where I've learned so much of doing it and kept doing it,
Mm.
where now it's like I'm used to it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
keep going with it.
Most definitely.